Hey, welcome to the AI Silicon Valley podcast, where we give you Silicon Valley perspective of all the current AI topics. We are in Palo Alto, California. This is podcast number 22. My name is Eric Nelson. And with me today, I have my co-host, Rajesh Karam. Rajesh, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing great. On the show today, we're going to be talking about AI and robots, androids, everything that's going on. A lot of news there, and I feel like it's coming into hardware now, right? So hardware is
Right.
transferring between cars and self-driving cars and AI robots and Amazon announcements for package delivery with an Android. A lot of stuff going on, which is keeping it exciting as always in Silicon Valley. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I think as we are seeing models become smarter, right? So I think we're entering a time now with reasoning models, large reasoning models, kind of coming into play more and more as we think about ChatGPT, LLMs in general, and so on and so forth. And I think this is naturally also taking us in a direction of, hey, can we reason about things in the physical world, right? Especially so. And with AI agents, I think
yeah.
obviously a lot of things are going to be agentic in nature, which is to say the models or these AI systems are going to think
Yeah.
through things and kind of go
Uh,
and execute. So
it is cool, and like I've been doing gardening, and just as an aside here, like
yeah.
my backyard, I've got an orange tree, I got a cherry tree, I got grapefruit trees. This is Northern California, everything
Right.
grows.
Right.
But I noticed that my orange trees only grow leaves in spring, April, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
rains here, we got a lot of rain, we got sunshine, and my orange tree puts out a bunch of leaves, and it's pretty small. I grew this one from seed, so I've been just
Nice.
slowly
Wow.
growing it, and but then it doesn't put any more leaves out for the rest of the summer. So
Mm-hmm.
I asked ChatGPT, like, what do I got to do here?
Mm-hmm.
Should I be just waiting till next season? And he's like, no, I say call it he, right? But it's like it comes back and it says, no, you're not fertilizing enough because new trees under 3 years old, you want to be fertilizing
Mm-hmm.
once every 3 weeks. You want
Wow.
to be doing X amount of water. You want to be doing it, and this is why you're not seeing leaf growth. Leaf growth can happen in, and I told her where I live, Palo Alto.
Mm-hmm.
Leaf growth can happen in Palo Alto, 4 times throughout the season if
Wow.
you're only seeing it one time. And he's just realizing that, oh my gosh, this is like,
Yeah.
I could never have known this, right? There's
Yeah.
no other way to know this, but it's analyzing where I live,
Yes.
the temperate zone, what type of plant. I asked it about apple trees, and it's going, no, apple trees requires, yeah, and it kept the thread. It goes, unlike citrus, Eric, apple trees. So it kept the
Yeah.
context of the
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation. And you're like, this put this stuff in a robot, right? And I swear to gosh, I'm going to marry it, right? Like, I mean, it's that where you
Right.
marry you put the intelligence and the hardware. And to your point, I think agentic AI is already probably in our life, and we just don't even realize, what's actually happening, that AI is contributing when I'm on my browser, when my bank
Yes.
account is actually being, dealt with, and all of that,
I
right?
mean, you can see it in action in ChatGPT, right? Like once you put a reasoning model, right? Like you
Right.
can choose a reasoning model, and really, I mean, you can see it thinking, right? It's thinking through all the options, and they even expose that thinking to you, which is kind of fascinating, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what really this brings up also, Eric, is personalization, right? So, I think as people are beginning to realize how much personalization they are, so right, you asked about citrus, and then you move to an apple tree.
Right.
Remember
Right.
that context, but lo and behold, next week you go back and ask something about lighting or sun.
Right.
It
Right.
already knows who you are,
Who
right?
you are, what I've asked it already, and it's
Yes.
and it's learning to interact with me.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right,
that personalization, I
right.
think, is going to be a moat for some of these
Yeah,
providers, right? Like now you're not going to,
right,
because if you move to Gemini or something else, you're going to lose that context, and that model has to learn all over again about
right,
you.
right.
So I mean, of course, it brings up
Well,
questions of
before we get into
yeah.
talking about all the humanoids and what's going to be happening with that, maybe we should just do a little bit of the news. So we'll do a little bit of the news here of
Yeah.
what's been happening. I'll
Yeah.
throw mine out first. And this is kind of in the world of the Apple Developer Conference was a few days ago,
Right.
and
Right.
they announced new version of Apple Intelligence, right, where they're basically they're expanding it to now work seamlessly with ChatGPT,
Mm,
right, and you can
mm,
take pictures now of you can take screenshots, what's on your screen,
mm.
pass it GPT, and it'll give you analysis of what you're actually doing on your phone to taking pictures and sending it to ChatGPT. So they're doing ChatGPT integration, right?
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
Eric, again, I mean, if I were to take this particular sort of news item, so to speak, I'm kind of skeptical. I think on what Apple is doing in the space, honestly, like, right, they're just not able to sort of keep up, almost, you could say, right? Because I think ChatGPT is sort of
Well,
stealing the show.
yeah, and that's why they're announcing that they're just going to integrate with ChatGPT, right?
I mean, even with the ChatGPT integration, right? Like, I mean, ChatGPT, I mean, OpenAI is, they just bought John Ivy's startup for $6 billion. I think, I don't know if we covered it in our last podcast, but happened about 2 weeks ago,
Well,
right?
We talked about the fact that OpenAI had talked about building a phone.
Exactly.
I
That's
have
it.
a feeling that
This is the one.
I have a feeling that Apple's announcement means that they're not going to be building a phone. Right? Like, okay, if Apple says, all right, how do you get Apple to do something? You say, hey, OpenAI says, hey, we're going to build a phone. We're going to buy a company to build a phone. And all of a sudden, Apple shows up and says, oh, guess what? We are announcing that we're going to integrate OpenAI all over the place. And so no reason for you guys to build a phone. We'll just be the phone. You get to be the AI of record for the iPhone.
Right. So. But really the question is, what is the next generation form factor? And I think looks like it appears it may not be the phone. So the acquisition that I'm talking about, OpenAI bought for $6 billion, was the startup of John Ivy, and John Ivy is the is the creator of the iPhone, right?
Right.
And that's a pendant, actually, right? At least whatever has been leaked / shown to the media. I really think if that's going to be sort of one of the, I think other people have tried pendants, and there's been Humane AI and RabbitMQ and so on and so forth, but that seems to be the next form factor. Maybe that's the next gen unlock after the phone, right?
Sure.
So, any case, I mean, so it's kind of, yes, Apple integrating with ChatGPT, I think helps, but even now, like, Siri is so bad. I mean, it's just like, I mean, the phone is right now a gateway, and I mean, Apple is in a crazy good position actually to leverage it.
Well, that's the point of having Siri just become ChatGPT.
But Eric, if you use Siri versus use ChatGPT app
no, they're
on your
saying
iPhone,
Apple Intelligence walking with Siri will just interact with ChatGPT. That's what I'm saying. So when I say hello Siri, it goes, oh, and it just uses ChatGPT.
I know. I mean, they announced this 2 months ago, but like I've used it in the last 2-3 months, and I just prefer ChatGPT way better as an app, on for voice.
So what did they do at the developer conference?
Announce another upgrade or something? I don't know.
New developer stuff that they're doing.
Okay,
so yes, you're not using what they're announcing at right. So what they're announcing
I
is,
hope
hey,
it's better.
Guess what? We're announcing that we're gonna just do more integration to ChatGPT. Right. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're gonna have to give up the war, right? When do they call Siri ChatGPT? I don't know. Maybe they don't.
Yeah, they just replace it, please.
They're just gonna get you when you say hello Siri. That's about all you're doing with Siri. Everything else that comes back from Siri will be
just right
AI engine from all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Like I think Apple, to your point, has lost control of the AI narrative.
Not only lost, I mean, Siri is a great example of just non-functional,
but
AI.
What I'm saying is, all Siri is really is the name Siri. When you say hello Siri, do you know what it's doing? You don't know what it's calling. Is it calling PipeIQ? You don't know. As a user, I don't know what Siri's doing.
Right.
All I know is I say hello Siri and it answers, right?
Yeah.
Right. But other than that, it could talk to any number of AI
No, it
services.
can. Absolutely.
And
I hope they improve the performance. I mean, I'm
well, not they're just going to connect it to other things. Then they don't have to improve performance. They're not going to build a Siri engine that's going to be doing all this.
Of course.
They're just going to connect it to AI services.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's them waving the red flag, going, okay, we'll connect it to ChatGPT. You all want ChatGPT. We'll just make it do ChatGPT. You say hello Siri, and everything from then on is you interacting.
They should
with
just
ChatGPT.
do that. They should just do that.
I think that's what they're.
The world will be a better place. All our iPhone users. I'm a huge iPhone user. Right?
I think that's what they announced at developer conference.
Okay.
Is that they're doing a tighter and tighter integration of ChatGPT.
So what you're asking me or telling me is that Rajesh just wait for 2 months or 1 month. I don't know how X days.
Like, okay, in the news. The other thing that they did, which is interesting, is they did liquid glass, which is a new GUI interface. So those are my two pieces of
What is this GUI interface? What does it do?
liquid glass is just a new GUI interface they announced that will like shimmer like water, and you'll see different elements shimmering in the GUI, right? So
Okay.
it's just a new graphical
Okay.
interface, and honestly, no one's invented any cool graphic interface in a while. So it is kind of neat that they're building a new graphic interface that will shimmer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Nice,
it's
but
like
yeah, I
wearing
hope
a good Gucci suit or something, or Armani suit. It kind of has a little shimmer to it, right? That's what
this this this
That's what
this
Apple brings us now. A shimmer. It's a new
exactly.
feature called the shimmer.
This is like adjusting the chairs while the house is burning, kind of
Right?
thing. I don't
You know
know.
what? They sell a lot of iPhones, buddy.
They do.
I
I
don't.
don't disagree.
Like,
I mean, hey, look, I have huge respect for the design
I'm thinking
sensibility.
you don't. I'm thinking you're like not an Apple fanboy at all.
I mean, oh no, I'm not a fanboy by any
Yeah,
means, but
right.
like as far as the AI race is concerned, I'm definitely worried that they are, they're probably behind
I
a
think
significant
anybody
amount.
that's in the AI business that isn't called OpenAI or Google are gonna struggle,
Uh, I mean, I
or
think,
Tusk or Elon Musk with whatever he's building.
yeah, I mean, my leaderboard currently looks like, I don't know, OpenAI, Perplexity, Google, and then Apple, maybe. Right? I
Yeah,
mean, in terms of at least how they're
yeah. I'm
executing
a
and
Pepsi
shipping it.
Coke kind of guy. You get two. You don't get four.
You don't get four.
If you're not in the top two, you're a loser. You lost. And the top two, like that's like saying I'm going to use duck for search. It doesn't
I
matter.
know,
You
I know,
lost. You
I
lost.
know. Yeah,
And
it's
I would say that it's going to be OpenAI and Google, and everybody else is just going to get
yeah. I mean, I
lose
think
the war.
Google is also a good one to just sort of touch on for a couple of minutes, but because the word on the street is that Gemini models are really actually beating other models on benchmarks.
Mm.
But really, I mean, this is all about mind share, market share. The fact
Yeah,
that,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Right,
OpenAI is at whatever 500 million weekly
right,
active users, right, or 400.
right.
And then, yeah, I mean, Gemini continues to lag behind. I think just UI usability, kind of. I mean, I don't know. And the fact that Google has to worry about its search revenue.
I feel
They,
like we're in the Microsoft days of Internet Explorer, right? So, people came out with Netscape, and then there was a couple other browsers. But what eventually happened is you came down to two browsers, Internet Explorer and Netscape, right?
right,
And really, it came down to one browser, Internet Explorer, because everybody used it, and then whatever Apple gave you for your iPhone, right? I
right,
think that AI interfaces and AI is the same way. There's all these models, a lot of people trying to get to it, Perplexity and everybody and Google, but in the end, who's going to come down? What it's going to come down to is just market share leader of
yeah,
in consumer habits, and so that's why Netscape and Firefox paid so much money for having their search engine. Having not Google paid to have their search engine on Firefox. Why?
right,
Because it was channel control,
true,
channel management, and I feel like we've already. It's over. It's over. It's ChatGPT and
really.
Google.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
I
Yeah.
mean, we have not touched on, and I don't know, I'm qualified enough to talk about this, but really, what about open source versus closed source, right? Like, so Meta has been putting all its might behind open source models with Llama models, right? And where does that sit in the sort of ecosystem landscape? I didn't even bring up Meta in my top four, right?
Mm.
So, how does that work? And that relates to a piece of news from this week. So, there are rumors that Meta is investing $10 billion with a B in Scale AI, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Scale AI, the CEO is Alex Wang, your 25, 27-year-old CEO. Scale has already been a decacorn. He's a decacorn, and he's very pro Washington and pro U.S. defense, etc.
I'm dropping off the network. Are you on the correct network? I'm gonna ask you that real quick to check.
Oh, maybe not. So let
Uh,
me switch.
because you're hosting, if I'm dropping off because you're on a
Gotcha.
slower network, then I'm also dropping off just a few times. But camera view,
That's true. I
audio
did
has
see
been
that.
totally fine.
So let
Just
me hop on to the correct
and
network,
it should
and then now we
automatically,
are on, I think.
yeah. All right, perfect. Thank you.
So thank you. So let's see if we come back on here on visuals.
Let's see if we can get you
Yeah,
some.
there you are. We are back on. We are back on. So,
Yeah,
so Eric, I mean, so the question of what Meta is doing with Scale AI is super interesting. It is
yeah,
not
I saw
entirely
that.
clear,
I
right?
saw that. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I look at what they do, and
yeah.
Peter Thiel is involved, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they do a
Scale
bunch of
AI
good
is
stuff.
definitely,
Yeah,
I mean, is definitely a very legit, credible play. A lot of defense spending. They are
yep,
capturing
yeah,
that, right, and they are beginning to labeling, etc. So,
yeah. I know. I
and
know.
they're of course pivoting their model as well. So the whole thing about I think for Zuckerberg is
Yeah,
also, I mean, the question is, yeah, where do I sit in the leaderboard? How do I compete effectively? Because
yeah,
if a lot of if the spend on the consumer side definitely is going to chat gpt, right, and it'll be Google
right,
number two,
right.
really, right? So as far as open source models are concerned, seems like there could be a b2b play or an enterprise play rather, right? But even for them to compete effectively there, maybe as you're talking about channel, right? Maybe this is the analogy of a
Yeah.
Mozilla play, that Mozilla was for Google. Maybe Scale AI is for Meta, potentially.
Yeah, this is where I'm a little confused on what Zuckerberg's doing, but because they have Instagram, they've got WhatsApp,
Right, WhatsApp,
right?
and yeah,
And
Facebook, of
then they
course.
got Facebook, right?
Yeah,
And I can't imagine that they're really doing a lot of AI for Facebook. I feel like Facebook's on the downward trend, but
mm,
maybe this is a way to keep Facebook current, where you just have a bunch of AI in the background of Facebook. Or are they doing it with Instagram? Are they doing it with ads? I don't know I don't know what their deal is, right? Those are their three major channels, right? So
yeah,
where does that fit in? Scale AI fit into that? I
yeah.
don't know.
I
Right?
mean, it's possible that, I mean, Scale AI has large enterprise customers, including
Mm.
large government,
Right.
contracts, right?
Sure.
So
Right.
it's possible that this deal might allow llama models to be used,
Right.
right?
Oh
In
yeah,
some of
because
those, yeah.
yeah. It's so channel management. Let's
Yes.
control Scale AI and government use of the llama model.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
So
Right.
that sounds like an interesting angle, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
anyway, you need security, privacy, etc. So obviously, all of those will come with deploying these models on your infra. So maybe it'll give him a leg up versus ChatGPT Enterprise, I guess, or what the work that Sam Altman is doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool, cool. Moving on. I mean, just one last piece, maybe on before we move to humanoid
Yeah.
robots.
Yeah.
Eric, is I heard a new term this week. So we all know MRR, monthly recurring revenue. We know
Hmm.
ARR, annual recurring revenue. A new term that I heard this week is ERR, experimental recurring revenue. So
Hmm.
uh,
All right.
so
Yeah.
we know that, like a lot of enterprise pilots are sort of experimental, right?
Right.
But they are
Right.
struggling to go from experimentation to production. So ERR is a sort of a term where a startup is showing traction, but really what you think is like solid ARR is not really there, right? Because the POC doesn't go through, you don't actually move to production, and so on and so forth. So I don't know. My McDonald's started a thing around deploying AI for their point of sale in the front, like
Sure.
with
Right. Right.
takeouts and stuff. So,
Right.
and I think they're rolling it back or something. That's just one example where it didn't move forward after the POC. So
Yeah.
that's classified
So
more as
there,
an
yeah.
error.
So you do an AI project, you report all the revenue gains or losses by ERR,
Yeah, right,
experimental revenue recognition,
right,
right?
right,
And
right.
that's a deal. That's a
It's
good term to
interesting.
know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's it's out there, and there are a lot of those kind of things happening, right? A
Yes.
lot of people are test marketing using AI, to deliver their products differently, and then sectioning off that revenue, right?
Exactly, exactly. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Let's move on. So
let's talk.
yeah, let's tell
So,
us,
so
Eric, about
yeah,
Amazon. Maybe we start
yeah,
with Amazon. Yeah.
yeah. I think I'm a big fan of the Android marketplace in general, right?
Right. Right.
And Amazon now has announced that they're building one. They're building a decent Android, and they got pictures on the web. So if you go to Google and you go
Right.
search on Amazon, right, or go to YouTube and Amazon robot, right,
Right.
delivery robot, they've got one, and it's delivering packages, right? Got a nice, pretty teal blue color to it, nice and shiny,
Mm,
and they're seriously figuring out, and that's what I've always thought is that the last 100 yards, right,
right.
you can have your trucks go around, but You can have a self-driving car that's driving up, but how do you get the package? How do you
Right.
go to the place, get the package out of the bin, and then come out, walk it up to my porch,
Right.
put it on the porch, take a picture, and then go back to your van and drive to the next one? Well, self-driving vans are fine, right?
Yeah.
But what are you going to have, a little robot? You've seen these little robots with the wheels that try to
Yeah.
grab the
Yeah.
package, and
I've seen it in downtown Mountain View.
they're
Yeah.
dumb. It's just waiting for somebody to steal your package, right? Because
Right.
a little robot wheelbarrow isn't gonna keep your package safe. An Android, right, that has arms, can punch you, hold the package and hold it up in the air and keep away from you, right? Not easy to steal a package from an Android as it walks up to your front, but
Right.
and
Right.
can ring a doorbell or knock
Yeah.
on the door, wait 30
Yeah.
seconds, see if anybody answers, give you your package and say thank you, and then walk back to the car. And so that's what they're doing. And I finally feel like all these stupid models that everybody, oh, we're going to quadcopter your package the last mile. It's called
Right.
the last
Right.
mile, right? And
Right.
no, they're going to have an Android. It comes in the self-driving van. It's
Right.
going to walk back, pick up the guy, come out, say hello, and right now they're all, happy androids with metal, but eventually they'll wear some clothes with a little cute uniform and then deliver your package just
Yeah.
like a regular human. And
Yeah.
that's going to be, and then they're going to be smart enough not to squash your dog or, trip over your garden hose, or they're going to have AI built in. They're going to be able to figure out what package you want,
Right.
and then return, same thing. So
Mm.
right now, what do I got to do on Amazon Return right now? I
Oh,
have
it's
to,
terrible.
it's terrible, right?
I have a
Yeah,
package sitting. It's not been picked up.
right,
It's
right.
been like a week or 10 days. I have the sticker, but
Yeah,
nobody's come
nobody's
to.
come to
They
pick,
don't
and that's
seem to
because it's
care.
difficult to programmatically get your driver
Yeah.
to come figure out your address and tell it to go pick
Yeah.
up that package.
Yeah.
As soon as you have an Android there, it's going to be automatically. You're just going to say, "Oh, I want
Well,
to return my package," and someone's going to come and pick it up.
no, actually, what I find really compelling or very reasonable, this seems
Right?
very feasible, which is you are building a robot for the last whatever 20 yards,
Yeah,
10
that's right.
yards, 50,
Right,
right?
right.
And my understanding, based on reading what I did, is that the truck is still going to be driven by a human. So
Okay,
there's no
right.
change in that, right?
Yeah, because
So
that's
the
a separate thing.
separate
Right,
thing.
right.
So now, as far as just the package is
Yeah,
concerned,
this-
boom,
yeah.
delivery,
Yeah.
right? The robot is going to do it. So
Yeah.
that sounds very doable, actually.
Yeah, and,
Very
and
doable.
while you're driving the next note, it's already getting the package out of the next one,
Right.
getting it and
Right.
ready
Right.
for and then it's going to hop out and
Yeah,
it
hop
can,
out. Maybe he
yeah,
can go to the next
yeah,
house,
yeah,
drop off
yeah,
another
yeah.
robot, drops it out there, comes back, pick up. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds.
yeah. So that'll handle the last 100 yards.
So I
right?
don't know if
Okay.
it was a PR thingy, but yeah, apparently they are building what they call a humanoid park.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
Up in
really
San Francisco,
up in
probably.
San Francisco,
Yeah, they have an
in the city.
innovation space up there.
Oh, they do,
that
yeah.
they
So
bring
in the city, yeah.
Amazon has a really cool innovation space where they bring in startups and they brainstorm on ways
Oh,
to
yeah.
do better things. But it wouldn't surprise me they're doing a city.
So it's the
Apart.
size of a coffee shop, apparently. So it's
Yeah,
like kind of be an
yeah.
indoor thing, I suppose.
Right, you got to go up and meet an Android,
Right,
and
right.
interact with it. Right.
So what's interesting is apparently Amazon has almost 20,000 Rivian vans in operation already. So
Yeah.
so
Well, there's nothing special about a Rivian van except it's electric, right?
yeah. Absolutely. But like I can see how a robot sort of fitting into that landscape, and
Yeah,
I mean the trucks are very ergonomically
yeah,
designed for
designed, right.
a
Package
robot to get
delivery.
in and
Yeah,
out and
yeah.
things like that. So
Yeah, I think and so that's one of the humanoid stories that I think makes sense. They have Wing, I think, is doing a
yeah,
drone delivery
Walmart.
now.
That's
Huh?
Walmart. Yes.
Yeah, right, where they're building some kind of drone delivery. They're still on the drone delivery thing, but
Right.
sooner or later they're gonna turn it into an Android as well.
Yeah.
But with AI, you get AI package delivery, right?
Yeah.
Gonna be there.
So give our audience a little bit of a background on that. So Walmart, in sort of collaboration with Wing. I only knew of Wing VC, but this is a Wing, which is a drone delivery company. I believe came out of Alphabet or Google X, and they are partnering with Walmart. And they're moving beyond initial POC and launching this drone delivery service in over 100 plus stores in Atlanta, Charlotte, North Carolina, Houston, Orlando, and Tampa. So that sounds pretty impressive. Definitely moving beyond like a small pilot,
Yeah. Yep. And The interesting thing about Walmart is they're generally in spaces where you have to drive pretty far to get to them, right? And so an air delivery system could make sense, right? Because it's cheaper. It might be just cheaper to deliver the package through air directly far
Yeah,
enough away that you're like, okay, we can do this.
yeah,
And they don't have vans, right? Like Amazon does.
yes,
So if
yes.
you don't have Amazon to do the last
Mile,
10 miles,
right,
right? They have a different problem. They don't have a 10 or 15-mile delivery capability, right?
right,
And Walmart's getting eaten by Amazon because Amazon has this whole network of Rivian trucks, right, that
right.
deliver. So if you don't have the trucks to get the Android to the last 100 yards, then maybe you just have drone delivery, right?
Yeah,
Then some of
yeah,
these drone, if you look at the Ukrainian war, it's a horrible thing. But one thing I'd say is interesting is how drones are being used now, right?
yeah, yeah.
And even if you look at Scale AI that we talked about earlier, one of their services, drone damage assessment, where they're flying drones around cities just to look at
Mm-hmm.
where issues are, what's broken, what needs to be fixed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that Ukrainian fix it groups can go out and look
Mm.
at power delivery, whatever, and what's been blown up and how do we get people there. So they're using drones just to monitor the whole city infrastructure, right?
Mm.
And so
Mm.
same thing with this drone delivery, right? Is that drones are a real thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
no, no
they could
doubt. I
they
mean,
could yeah.
the drones were used even in the India-Pakistan conflict that happened just like a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah,
and I believe these were Chinese drones.
right.
Yeah, so I think drones are
And
definitely.
throw in AI now where they got really
Oh
smart,
yeah,
right? Where
right,
they're just self-driving
right.
drones, and all of a sudden, this can change. And it certainly changed warfare. And I can imagine that Walmart can see it changing package delivery, right?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right,
But I mean, it's interesting. I know that Walmart is there in, sort of remote places, also, right? But also in dense cities,
right,
right? Like in
right.
the Bay Area. It's interesting that these are being pilots done in bigger cities. So that's super interesting.
Yeah,
At least the names we are seeing here, right? The
yeah,
cities.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I wonder.
But
Uh,
some of these big cities have outskirts, right? So, and then
I
if
know.
you look at the Walmart customer, it's mostly people driving in from places to the city. So I'd be
Mm-hmm.
surprised if it wasn't a strategy that, I'm far enough away from, I'm in
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta and I'm out in the suburbs and
Right.
I need to get my packages. And
Yeah.
guess how I'm doing it right now? I'm not driving all the way into Walmart anymore, right?
Mm.
I think customers would do trips, put everybody in the van and go to Walmart and buy cheap stuff, right?
Mm.
So I have a feeling that they're looking at how to get, you know, how to compete against Amazon, right? Like,
Mm.
because Amazon
Mm.
already delivers out there, right?
Right.
So pretty soon I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going all the way into Walmart.
Right, 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 right. No, no, this is
Yeah.
great. This is a fantastic.
So
I think, yeah.
I have another drone, a drone one that came out this week.
Uh-huh.
Pepsi is doing Fizzbot. So they got a
What's
drone
that?
now, a full drone, full humanoid, not drone, sorry, humanoid,
Uh-huh.
a humanoid robot. Stands up just like Oculus, just like
Okay.
what Amazon. These are full functioning humanoid robots, right?
Okay.
And this is a marketing one.
So,
Gets up and sells Pepsi, right? And does and
where is where does it where is it situated?
well, they're running it in China right now. So it's doing marketing in China, and they had
So it's like at a mall,
yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
outside of
Well,
a
they're doing
mall
a
or something.
presser announcement
Yeah.
conference where they're there,
Right.
and they had that Beckham. They
Uh-huh.
have
David Beckham.
David Beckham
Uh-huh.
there doing an announcement
I
with
see. I see.
Pepsi
Uh-huh.
drone. You can YouTube this. Just they call it Fizzbot. So
Fizzbot. Okay.
Fizzbot,
Good
right? So
marketing.
yeah,
It's giving
Fizzbot
me
and
ideas.
Fizzbot, is talking and how
Right.
amazing Pepsi is. And
Right. Right.
don't be a regular human and drink it; it'll kill you. But if you're a robot, you can drink
You can
all
drink
the
as much
Pepsi
as
you
you want.
want. Right? No problem. No sugar problem with us.
Right,
Right, right.
right, right.
But the point is now you can have robot actors, right?
Yeah,
Instead of having to pay somebody, you can have Fizzbot become and it's a human. It's a stand-up human. Now throw in AI, right?
right.
Into that robot, and now we're well on our way. And then final to end this week. If Starship is Tesla's, sorry,
Oh,
Elon Musk's
right.
SpaceX main vehicle that they're using to go to Mars, right?
Right.
And they, they've been blowing them up regularly now. So they're on Starship 10, I
It's
think it is.
crazy. Oh
Yeah,
my
launch
God.
10, and
Right.
they've blown up 3 in the last 3 launches. And
Wow.
it didn't blow up. The last one actually orbited, 3/4 around the world, and then had a problem with stability, and you started to roll, and then it came in rolling, and so it just burned itself up. But
Mm.
the point of that is that Elon, the day of the Starship launch, I think it was Starship 9, he also did a PR press speech afterwards on the future of Mars, and they showed screenshots, and he announced that, well, humans aren't going to go next year, because he had originally said, oh, humans are going to, we're going to get by the end of the decade, by 2029, we're going to have
Okay.
humans going to Mars. He now announced that actually end of next year after, when we're ready, we're going to have Optimus,
I see. I
the
see.
robots going.
Okay.
And
I
they
see.
show a little image of the robots running around, walking around Mars, building out the infrastructure. Now, that makes a lot more sense,
Right.
right? Before, I'm like, he can't even manage to get one of these starships around the planet once without it blowing up or burning up, right? Like, can you imagine putting some humans on it and
Right.
sending it to Mars, right?
Right.
The
Right.
thing's going to cook itself every which way from Sunday, right? But he has always been test, fail fast,
Mm.
engineer fast, right?
Right.
So he just keeps launching them, and they tweak them, and if one burns up, it's fine. We'll just do another one, and he's got a production facility of 15 of them in a row, right? So that's his
shipping.
model, and that's fine as long as you don't have humans involved.
Yeah.
So best way to do this, keep doing this, is just put androids on it, right?
Right.
And once you can send androids to Mars, and they, they're spending years up there, no problem, and power's working, and habitats working, and all that, then you could put a couple humans on one of these guys, because you got all the bugs worked out.
Right.
And that's, again, another use case of a humanoid android, right? That they will have AI built in.
Absolutely. No, I mean, honestly, for me, just from an AI lens, what this comes to is AI is going to get deployed. AI, in one way, when you think of humanoid robots, etc., it could be a subset of a bigger theme, which is, AI on the edge in different devices, AI in robots, right? AI in your refrigerator or whatever, right?
And that's why I say the robots are coming. It's actually the devices are coming, right?
Yeah.
An Apple iPhone, even though you poo-pooed it and badmouthed it, whatever, the point is that AI and devices are coming, right?
Yes.
Whether it's a full Android humanoid, robot, or whether it's, a mini robot in your pocket, which is now a phone, or whether it's Johnny Ive's new cool device. AI is going to migrate into devices.
Yes,
right?
yes, that's definitely the next frontier, and that's probably going to solve the problem of this, model collapse that people have spoken about, which is how is AI going to, if you have trained it already on all the data on the internet, how is it going to learn new things? And the answer really is through these robots these new devices, doing things, right? So once it is doing things, there's just new data available. So
I'm hoping one will come out and put fertilizer on my tree
on your orange
every
tree.
3 to 4 weeks, apparently.
You don't want to get that lazy, Eric.
yeah, it's true. Maybe I don't, but I don't know what the answer is going to be on how we're all going to make a living and what we're going to do, because it's going to be mowing our grass, delivering our packages.
Well, I mean, I don't mind some universal basic income. That'll be cool. And I can sit and meditate. And
but the interesting thing will be, now ChatGPT knows that I have an orange tree, knows I have an apple tree, knows I have a grapefruit tree, because I asked it about all my trees. Because once I learned that I was doing the orange tree wrong, I'm like, oh, what about all the other? I got a banana tree. What do I got to do? And it's like, now at some point, the Android's going to show up, know that I have, and it's going to say, all right, it's time to fertilize. We ordered your fertilizer, which is why Amazon's Droid is actually very interesting for me, because they have the connection back to the products. So if the Droid if I order the product, can the Droid open my gate, go back, and just put it on my, I ordered it from Amazon, the fertilizer.
Right.
Can it
come in and actually
just put it where it needs to
pay
go?
An extra $20, and
it's gonna bring it here. And just, or the fertilizer company is going to offer that as an extension, right? If you buy our fertilizer, we put it on.
Or maybe you have a Optimus robot that's your house robot, and it's going to pick it up and go do its thing.
Well, that's the interesting thing, right? Does the robot come with the service?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Or do I have my personal robot and that robot hands the package to my service? Like, where does the home start and end, right? You know,
so
because everything else is a SaaS service. I can't imagine my robot delivery isn't going to just be another SaaS service.
Or you can rent your house. Yeah, you can rent your personal robot, right? So there's going to be all kinds of new pricing models, business models that'll actually,
and maybe the robot just comes with I buy the grass seed, and it comes and plants the grass and mows the grass, and all I'm doing is buying some grass service, right? That comes with an Android that's gonna, weed and so much for hiring my gardener.
Right. Because actually, of this, I mean, as it sounds sci-fi, actually, it's becoming less and less so.
No, I started looking at the Androids. I'm like, yeah, this is. And somebody was telling me about that OpenAI ChatGPT, the phone integration that I knew was coming. They're actually going to have it from your car. You're going to talk to the ChatGPT in your vehicle. It's going to be ChatGPT enabled, right? So then it's going to know what I'm driving. It knows GPS of where I'm at. The phone knows where GPS is. It knows what I'm doing. It's going to do
seamless.
It's going to do everything. It's going to unlock the door for me when I drive in my driveway. The garage door opens. It's just and that's going to be the AI ChatGPT controlling it all.
Right.
And it's going to know everything. House is going to light up. Everything is going to know, and it's going to do that, and it's not that far off.
It's not that far off. I mean, honestly,
they're making it happen already. Right.
I mean, I'm actually very bullish on the pendant, honestly, that they launch. I mean, because OpenAI is just sort of trying to go up the application stack, so they just need one hardware play.
Right. Yeah.
That's
one
it.
Or two,
they will.
And they announced at the Develop Conference that Apple is going to just put ChatGPT there, and Apple's waving the little flag, or saying, "Hey, we don't mind. We sell phones. Do I actually care whether I use OpenAI or some Siri intelligence thing? No, I just want my phone to be smart. And if you guys think ChatGPT is the smart engine, that's just Microsoft anyway. We'll just use Microsoft.
Right. And OpenAI. I mean, what's stopping Apple from releasing a pendant too? I mean, they are geniuses at this kind of stuff. I mean, that will be the next big unlock potentially for them.
Yeah.
That's a very possible scenario, actually.
What's a pendant? You mean
a pendant on your, like a pendant that you wear?
Necklace.
Necklace. I mean, that could be the next gen form factor after the phone, right? Because phone is something I put in my pocket. Another possibility is a watch, right?
Watch or just a phone.
Or it's just a pendant. Yeah, so I don't know. Phone goes in your pocket, not super friendly.
I like the phone.
Well, you do, but next episode we're going to talk about Sam Altman's WorldCoin, iris scanning, Orb. That's another project. So there is some intersect there.
You're right. The hardware is going to define how we're going to use AI.
Yes, exactly.
Question.
So
a pendant or a ring or a phone or something you never even thought of, where you have to go a little bit more sci-fi.
Virtual reality.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
The first foundation, if you watch the Apple series, a lot of people. I read the books, Isaac Asimov and the robots and all that, and that's why I've always been a fan of AI and androids, because when I came out of college, I read the Isaac Asimov robot series books, like a 10 series, and it always fascinated me. But they had like a personal device that was just kind of like on you, and it wasn't even a device. It was just something that was like you got assigned to you. And if you go watch the Apple first foundation series, they just assign it to you. It's not it's almost like in your blood, or so, like it's a nanobot.
Well, then that brings up Neuralink, I mean, the stuff that Elon is working on. So exactly. Who knows?
Right. I would put money on the Neuralink. Right, no question.
Cool.
That.
Awesome, Eric. Fantastic chatting with you. I know we are at time here, but amazing. I loved our conversation. So hopefully we can do it again next week.
Always stuff going on in Silicon Valley, and always good to talk about AI, and it's just moving so fast. So just as always.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.